Hi ladies, welcome. Hello. Welcome to this discussion, little round table. My name is Mulemo. I'll start with myself. My name is Mulemo Matarate and I'm the digital lead. And we'll go around the room. We'll start with Kagiso. Please introduce yourself.
Look at you just introducing me already. The name is Kagiso, Kagiso Sasa. I go by KG, and I'm the PR and Comms Account Director at Pacinamix.
Okay, my name is Kiatlaretze Malebo, and I'm the Senior Copywriter in the Creative Department here at Pacinamix.
My name is Zanele. I am the Senior Account Manager for the PR Department. Pacinamix.
It's so great to be around such powerful women at this time of the year, of course. I mean, we just are coming out of August. We know that, a lot of women went. They were brave enough to march to the Union buildings in 1956. Yeah. And I just want to know from you guys, like, what are your thoughts around that? How do you feel about them, and how do you feel about what's happening now?
Okay, so basically for me that day, having quite a lot of female role models in my life, my grandmother, my mother, my aunt, and getting sort of hearing their narrative of that time, it kind of makes me feel quite lucky and empowered that today as a woman, there's so many opportunities I can take advantage of, opportunities they never would have thought were even possible during their time. And I think especially, the role, or the important role of women in business and in organizations, for me has become quite crucial. It's a role that can't be ignored anymore. Businesses can no longer kind of have the same narrative and treat an organization or people the way that they've always treated them in a very male-dominated sort of environment. Because women have a different way of tackling challenges. They have a different way of solving problems, and even kind of looking at people in their entirety. For instance, in an HR department, if a woman's the head of an HR department, the way they tackle issues and deal with challenges is very different to the way a man would. For instance, they wouldn't look at Mulemo just as a person that's just an employee. They know that, Mulemo is a mother, so the way that she needs to be handled is very different to someone that's just coming fresh out of school. And then, for instance, having patience and an ear, so I think those qualities in women are quite intrinsic and natural to us. And I think in our world, now more than ever, we need that woman's touch in dealing with issues that we are, in tackling problems that we face. Because at the end of the day, everybody is nurtured by a mother. Everybody's born into this world by a mother and a woman. So as much as we raised in different gender roles and have to appeal to those gender roles as we grow up, it's no longer a time that what the equity of a woman in the world has become so much more important and vital. And so for me it excites me that we're living in a time that's kind of reaping the rewards of the sacrifices that those women had to make that day. They were fighting for a generation that they'd never even met. Yeah. They died for a generation that they never even knew how that coming generation would actually use this power or use that advantage. So I'm excited about the opportunities that women have today. As a woman sitting right here, I'm very excited about the fact that I don't have to go through 10 million doors anymore or become a man in a way to have my voice heard. So I'm very, very appreciative and feel very blessed that those women made a sacrifice for us.
Absolutely.
I think for me, there's something that we tend to overlook about that particular day, and for me, I think it's the power of the collective. How a group of women from different backgrounds who didn't know each other from a bar of soap, they all came together for one cause, and I think that's something that we need today as women. That sense of a sisterhood, and we tend to use this term sisterhood very loosely amongst us sisters, you know, but I think we sometimes forget the essence of what it is, you know, fighting for a cause and being together in making a change. And I think that's the one thing that I take away from that particular day. But as a woman in 2020, you know, celebrating Women's Month, Women's Day, or whatever you want to term it, I think I'm excited about the opportunities that women have. You know, we've still got a long way to go, but there's so much in us that is still to be untapped. And yeah, I think the world needs to be ready. We're coming full speed ahead.
I agree.
Yeah, I agree with both of the ladies, and I think it was probably one of the most iconic days when South African women from different races, some with babies on their backs, got up and marched and said, enough is enough. We don't want this anymore. We don't want to hear it anymore. We're not giving you the power. We're taking it back. And I think that's literally been the trajectory ever since then. That's how we've started, and that's how it's been, and that's where we're going. Women are so powerful these days. We take things upon ourselves. We don't take no for an answer. We constantly feel like we're fighting for something. Even when we're not fighting, we feel like we're fighting because it's always been a fight for women. But I'm so glad that we've gotten to this place in life where we don't constantly feel like we have to fight to get what we know we deserve.
Yeah.
So that day definitely opened up a big hole, not for us to fall in, but for us to make it even bigger, so that we can, you know, widen the spaces and get women everywhere to start going crazy and claiming back what they deserve and what they absolutely know they can do. So big ups to the ladies, and I mean, you know, it was a big deal. And thankfully it happened, because I don't know if we'd be here if it weren't for that day.
Absolutely. And just on my parting thoughts, just on that point before we move on, is I think the women of that time came to the realization, and they could see that when elephants fight, the grass suffers.
Oh, yeah.
And because women are generally very nurturing in nature, they did it their own way. And how powerful and impactful that was.
Sure.
Definitely.
So I wanted to ask, like, in terms, when you guys think about, you know, women empowerment, and, you know, what does that mean to you when you're navigating through your career?
I think women empowerment for me is not putting a woman in a senior position. I think for me, women empowerment is how much value and how much information are you imparting to the next woman to be able to enable them to be able to do things that they would like to do. You know, there's a lot of young women that I know who have started agencies straight from varsity. And back then it was whoa, how do you even do that? Do you even know what you're doing? But then you realize those women were empowered. They had the information, they had the skills, they had the know-how. And maybe some of us weren't fortunate enough to be around people like that in growing up. But women empowerment for me is just that, giving a person enough information for them to go as far and as wide as they'd like to go without any limitations, and not feeling like there's, you know, any boundaries or blockages ahead of them.
Yeah, I think for me it's, you know, whenever that question is posed, I always say, who said we're not empowered? You know, why do we need to be empowered? We were born empowered. We were born empowered, you know. But I think it's really just you know, a term that is now almost taken shape. You know, us taking space, claiming, you know, our positions in the world. But we've always been around. We've always been empowered. We've always been strong and incredible in our own unique way. We just haven't been getting the credit that is due to us, or that is deserving, you know. So for me, women empowerment is really non-existent, in the sense that I don't need to be empowered by the next person, because I was born empowered. So that's what it means to me.
Deep.
That's very deep. You know, I want to circle back again to that sisterhood, and you mentioned it now about imparting knowledge, right? So in my career, I think one of the things that I yearned for the most and I felt was missing was mentorship, whereas the other gender has, it feels like they have an abundance of it, right? And it goes back again to sisterhood. Like, what are you, like, how do you feel about that? What do you think we could do now that we know better? Now that, you know better, I know better, we all know better. You know, what do you think, like, what kind of change do you think we can impart or we can do or start doing in order to ensure that, you know, our girls also have a fighting chance?
I would say it's almost like you know, for lack of being the copywriter here, but when you're saying empowerment, for me it just translates to I am power.
Yeah.
As in me as Kiatarete, I'm power. So if I believe that I'm power, that anything that I do has a force behind it that only I can do. I think if women are more confident in themselves and don't have to compete with other women, you know, if I'm sitting here as Kiatarete knowing my worth, knowing my talent, my value, you know, my difference, my truth, and grabbing that and owning that, there's no reason for me to feel like, oh my gosh, because, you know, path or be Zaz's way. Like, I think if we can, you know, really just celebrate who we are and believe in ourselves, it's going to be so much easier for us to actually empower other women in a sense that we're going to give other women the space to be who they are and impart upon them anything that's going to help them elevate or excel their journey or accelerate, you know, their path, instead of feeling like we have to compete all the time. And I think maybe, and maybe it's also just, you know, coming from a family that's dominantly male. Like my sister and I are the only girls in the entire family. So my cousins, my male cousins and their friends and stuff, you know, they'll fight about something right now, but literally the next second, their friends are gay, or even if they're competitors in business, they'll go play golf together and talk about other things and how to grow other business ventures. So I think as women, because we feel like we have to compete so much with each other, or we outdo each other and be better than each other, it really, really just narrows our view of how powerful we can be if we just actually just ignite the thing that is, you know, our truth. You know, because at the end of the day, my strength is not necessarily going to be Zanele's strength. So if Zanele's got the strength that I don't, why don't I reach out to Zanele?
Yeah.
Like, you know, for me to be this better person and to do my job better, I need your brilliance.
Yeah.
You know, ignite your light here, you know, shine it with me. You know, I think if we had that sense of like, that for me is sisterhood. And that for me is what I think the older generation of women back in that time, it was so natural for them. You know, they didn't even have to feel they had to compete with each other. You know, so I think if we in essence could go back to really, you know, the nurturing and loving nature that is just us as women. The fact that we, you know, you love and you nurture anybody besides you even knowing them. Like, that's why a woman can raise another woman's children as if they're her own. You know, why don't we have that same love for each other? Because I think if we had that, and it feels like such a small thing to do, and that's why for me sometimes it frustrates me so much, because I think, why is it such a hard thing to do when really it's such a part of us to be that way? I think if we were more that way, we would literally be running the world as we should.
Do you think that like this little competition that we keep you know, referring to, is it a learned behavior? Because, you know, when a child is born, they are powerful in their own right until society and the surroundings teach them otherwise. Is that something that is learned? And where do we get it from? Do we get it from home? Do we get it from society? Do we get it from high school? And who starts teaching that? Or does it become like a, and I'm asking like 100 questions, but does it become like a vicious cycle? Does it become like a vicious cycle where I've been taught this way and I know that you can't trust so forth and so forth, you must just do your own thing, make sure your work is done, and, you know, everybody else will see to finish, you know? Is that something that I also impart to my kids to say, you know, you like, do you get what I'm saying? Is that something that is a learned behavior?
I think without putting and without generalizing it and saying, you know, society has done this, but it's almost like an unwritten, you know, secret that is somewhere out there where we've been pitted against each other as women, knowingly or unknowingly. You know, all it takes is just, you know, one conversation, one email, one phone call, and, you know, then all of a sudden, Ukahiso and Mulemo are no longer vibing, you know.
It's true.
It's
true, yeah.
You don't know me, I don't know you, but because of, you know, other people, they could be female, they could be males, but for some odd reason, there's just become, there's this toxic thing that just surrounds us now as women, and we, you know, it's almost like we are now being taught to to shine our light by dimming another person's
Yeah.
light, particularly another
Woman's light, yeah.
You know, and I think that's a very dangerous thing. And you asked earlier, you know, what should we as women do? And we really should be lighting each other's lights.
Yeah.
You know,
I like that.
And actually, you know, when somebody calls me, when a Zanella calls me and say, you know, Molemo is this, I'm like, I'm not in the business of discussing Molemo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think that's what we need to be doing going forward, because we already have enough to deal with. You know, we already have our, you know, our male counterparts that we're still, you know, you know, we don't need that added from our own sisters, our own friends,
Absolutely.
our own mothers,
Absolutely.
you know? But also from, you know, from families as well. You know, and I'll be slightly controversial here. As a black woman, you know, you're taught to always be just a little bit better. Just one step better.
Yeah.
You need to be just a
Sounds
little
more
bit
pad.
just tiny better. You know, and I think that's something that you almost pick up as you grow along, because then you get into school, you always want to be better than Omolemo, or you want to be better than a Jessica. You get into a corporate space and you want to be better than a Zanele, because you know there's something in the back of your mind that says, remember, black child, you have to be better.
Yes.
So I think it's a double-edged sword in a way, but really just understanding that I am because I am, not because I need to, you know, downplay anyone else. I think that's the starting point.
Absolutely.
But I also think it's you know, being conscious of that. You know, being conscious of the fact that you know that is and something that exists, you know, within childhood, within, you know, everywhere we go. But I also think you know, we need to celebrate the fact that, you know, whatever you are is enough.
Yes.
Like, you are enough. And it should be up to you. If you don't feel that what you are is enough, it's up to you to make yourself better. It's up to you to do better for yourself. Not hore ke batla ho phala molemo or ke batla ho phala Zanele. It's whatever I'm good at, I'm enough. And what I'm not good at, it's okay.
It's
for me to
okay.
reach
I'm
out
still enough.
and look for someone else. So if we can raise our kids to believe that they are enough, you know, and I don't necessarily have the formula, but if that is something we can instill, then I think that we'd already be changing kind of the cycle and the mentality of kids, because I really do think it starts from the way we think, the way we way we talk to you know, the words we choose, you know, because you can say something, but the way you say it. And I was gonna say, like, you know, the whole fight about, you know, between sister with Litonia, how we like then like Tony, and it's like maybe it's Tony, like that's the way like you work. I think he can say I'm like, it's not cool. I can't quite tell keep words, you know. So be enough and be okay when you're enough. So let's teach women to be enough, and it's okay to be enough. You don't have to be good at everything. Some things it's actually better how you're not actually good at them, and it's okay. You know, shine the light and focus on the things you really are good at, because that'll make you feel like enough. You know, so let's speak that to our kids, and let's speak that to each other. You know.
And for me, Gia, I think the biggest thing is competition is fair. Competition is needed, you know, and sometimes competition is healthy. You know, we can't always look at it as a negative thing. Sometimes it's good to want to compete, because maybe you know, I'm not trying to compete to be better than you, and maybe you have qualities that I would love from you, and the only way I feel like I can get there is if I'm going to race you there, you know. So competition is really not the worst thing. I mean, that's how I was raised. Like, obviously, black child try to be better, especially black child in a school full of the other gender and the other race. So, you know, so we're constantly trying to be better than somebody. And I think for me, back to your first question, Mo, for me, the biggest thing is we can't always, guys, we can't be living in a empower somebody phase, always empowering. Can somebody get up and say, I want to learn, you know, you have this, please teach me. You know, we can't constantly be imparting knowledge on people that don't want to know. They're not interested. Like, this thing that you're trying to teach me, I don't care. What am I going to do with it? So as women, young women need to start listening and then start choosing what it is that they want to get, and then chase it. The only way you're going to be empowered is if you really want to. You know, nobody's going, hey guys, we've been working for years, and you speak to people, you say the same thing to a person for years, and they still just don't get it. And then you realize it's just not their thing.
Yeah.
And maybe they excel brilliantly at something else, so we can't impart knowledge or empower people on things they have absolutely no business in.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask you, Zanele and Gia, you know, you being mothers, how, you know, just one
I see what this is about.
you know, how do you guys you know, navigate that with working, you know, motherhood and working, and what would you require, what would you ask corporates or any kind of jobs, it doesn't matter what it is, you know, what do you think would, if you had it your way, how would you change the status quo? It's a word that Pacinamix likes a lot. The status quo, like, you know, in terms of how you guys deal with motherhood and work.
For me, honestly, and it might also be, you know, kind of rattling a few cages, which, you know, I think
Rattle, girl.
it's okay to.
We're here to rattle. We are here to rattle.
But I think that, you know, organizations need to really be realistic. You know, I don't think that a lot of businesses are realistic in the way that they treat women. I'm not saying women need to be treated differently. Men and women have different needs, you know. So for that would even be looking at stuff like, you know, the school calendar, for instance. Knowing Zanele's got school-going children. So I think companies need to be agile. I actually think this lockdown has taught a lot of companies a lot. Because for now, it's actually made me forcefully closer to my little one. But it's also taught me, you know, boundaries as well. To, you know, for her to know, you know, so it's almost like those discipline things in the act, which are actually it's been quite a good thing.
Yeah.
But I think companies need to be cognizant of the fact that, you know, women live a different lifestyle, mothers have a different lifestyle. So, you know, if you know the school calendar is like this and Zanele's got to go pick up the kids, don't make Zanele feel guilty because Zanele wants to be a present parent. And, you know, kids don't care. Were you there when I did my drama show? You know what I mean? So I think it's very sad that women are still having to feel guilty for being mothers. You know, and I mean, I'm at a point that I've had to literally, you know, make that call and be like, you know, I'm spending time with meaning I've logged off. I can say it.
Yes.
I'm not gonna miss that deadline. I didn't say I miss that deadline, but understand I've got a life outside mom sebiting. I get mom sebiting. The copywriter, the creative, and also being agile. You know, knowing you know, if Zanele doesn't miss a deadline, that's all that counts. Is Zanele meeting her deadlines? Are her clients happy? You know, is she doing what she needs to do in business? Understand? Because forcing me to be here until 8 o'clock, we're missing bath time and not feeding my child is costing me as a mother.
Yeah.
So I'm not necessarily gonna wanna work for an organization that doesn't understand as a mom. It's a job that doesn't keep office hours.
Yeah.
You know, it demands of me something that it actually gives me something that a job will never give me. So if I had to choose between Wanaka and Luena in a realistic scale, apart from needing the money, obviously I'm
choosing,
because she's more important to me.
Yeah.
Like being a mother and nourishing her and spending time with her is more important. So companies need to really, really be agile and rearrange their thinking and their approach to mothers and their lifestyle and the roles that they play.
Yeah.
And if I can bring my motherhood, you know, my motherhood quality into the job that I do, I promise you what you can get out of me is much more than money can buy.
Absolutely.
So businesses really need to have a look at the way that they are catering to mothers.
Pressure.
I mean, first of all, motherhood is amazing. It's the most precious thing that money can buy. I was a mom at a very young age, and I was still trying to, you know, work my way into companies, into the industry. So it was very difficult at the beginning, but I kind of feel like I have the hang of it now. Because my son is older and he listens better.
For now.
For now. But I think juggling work and, I don't know about Gia, but I'm a single mom. So juggling work and being a single mom has been quite challenging, to be honest. It's quite challenging because I'm the first point of contact for everything. Magani rash la, it's mama. You know, if he falls at school and I'm in a meeting, mama. And sometimes, like Kia says, sometimes you know this meeting is equally as important as you having to be there for your child who has a small little rush. You know, sometimes not that small. But I think those are the kinds of qualities that she talks about, because you want to be there for your child, even if it's a small little rash when you're looking at it. But for them, it's big. And if mommy can be here, this rash is going to go away. And I think companies just need to get into that kind of swing of things, that actually a lot of women are single mothers right now. And we're in it alone, you know? Obviously, there's grandmothers, there's mkulus, but people have lives. And ultimately, I'm responsible for this one single human being. And I would love to be as responsible for this child as much as I'm responsible for my deadlines. This is a never-ending deadline. The boy is always there. The boy is always demanding. The boy wants when they want. And unfortunately, like work, I can't say, guys, I don't have capacity. Need to, move a few things around. I can't when it comes to the baby. The baby is constantly there, and I think what companies just need to be cognizant of is just that it's not an excuse. It's not always an excuse that I'm a single mom and I need to go. It's genuine. There are days when you can brush it off and say, they can handle it. But there are days when you feel like this requires me. I'm the only one who can fix it. I don't trust anybody else to do this. Therefore, I've sat in hospitals while my son was in an op on the laptop, and I was just like, actually, I don't care what other women who walk by think of me. I can do both. She's strong, she's powerful, she's wow, you know?
Yes.
So let's get into that. But I think companies must just know, guys, and please understand and think about us and sympathize. It's not a lot. We're not asking for special treatment. But we're just saying, now that we realize that we can actually do so much from home, allow us to be able to do the things that we want to do, so that we can give 110% of us to the organization, because we're not worried about something that we couldn't complete, or something that we couldn't finish, or something that I should be doing but I actually can't, because I'd rather be there, but I need to be here, you know. Yeah.
It just dawned on me, but don't you find that as someone who's not a parent, it's almost like expected that you are everywhere for everyone, because you've got nobody at home waiting for you. You know, and I remember a couple of years ago, I actually went to an interview, and I was asked, are you a mother? Are you a wife? And I said no, and they said you are the one. And I said, but wait a minute, why do I need to be single and not be a mother to be deemed worthy or acceptable for this particular opportunity? Companies also just need to understand that we're all on different journeys, and what Kia is able to do as a mother and as a working woman, I should also be afforded the same, opportunity, or call it luxury, or whatever the case might be. But I shouldn't be expected to almost give 3 or 4 times more than the mother counterpart that I have. So if I want to go home at 5, come on. I'm trying to be a mother. I'm trying to be a wife in the future. How am I going to do that? So come on.
Not a long time ago for me, I was told, actually 2 times in 2 positions that I've held, I was told, okay, Mo, whatever you do, don't fall pregnant. I'm telling you, don't fall pregnant like this year. Please just don't, whatever you do, please don't fall pregnant this year, because we can't have you falling pregnant.
We're banking on you.
It's tough. Sorry, Mo. It's so tough, because I once wasn't able to get the promotion that I wanted, because they said, Zanele, your child is still so young. We're going to need you more than we actually need you now. And I mean, we don't want to hear the I'm breastfeeding or my child has a rash story. And I posted on Facebook, I remember I think my son was still young, and I posted, wow, if somebody had told me being a mom would be such an employment or a career block, I would never have done it. But that wasn't the case. It's just that the company was wanting something from me that I wasn't able to give. And there are a lot more companies out there who are willing to say, come as you are, come with your child. Actually, we want you because you're a nurturer. You get, if you are able to raise a child on your own, sweetie, here are 3 accounts. Run,
3 babies.
Yeah, 3 more babies.
Able to fulfill that.
I'm sure I would, but I mean,
position because of men.
Exactly.
So I do think, that should be some of the things that change, you know, because I know that our male counterparts don't get told things like that, because also it's like, what does that mean? Like, what do you mean? I'm telling you, every time I got a boyfriend, people were panicking. I'm telling you, people were panicking. They were just like, Mo, whatever you do, you know? And it was said as a joke, and I took it as a joke, but at the back of my mind, I was just like, sheesh, what does that mean? You know, if I get married, what does it mean? You know, like, what does it mean for my career? What does it mean for my my growth? So, just in parting, I just wanted to, because we've spoken a lot about this, we'll never stop, you know. I did want to touch on GBV quickly, but I feel like I'm opening a can of worms.
Open it, girl.
So I'm going to open it, and then, but like, we can't take too long. Okay, GBV, KG.
Yo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Should have started this.
Look, I think we really are at a precipice right now of our lives. I think we are fighting a whole new battle as women. You know, we thought we've taken one step forward. You know, in terms of careers, in terms of life in general, and families, and now we're confronted with another monster, and unfortunately this monster is scary. You know, just yesterday I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and she said, you know, it was late in the evening, and she said, I want to go and take a jog because I'm just feeling a bit frustrated about something, and the only way I can release is through running. And I said, oh yeah, just go. And she said, girl, are you crazy? I don't know what's out there. I don't know what's going to happen to me. And in that moment, I realized this is our reality as women. You know, it's hard to even get into a new relationship because you don't know what you're getting yourself into. You know, a lot of people have said, you know, back in the day it was so easy. You meet abutis mang mang, you vibe, you know, you go on a couple of dates and everything is good. Nowadays, you know, you have to kind of let 10,000 people know where you're going, who you're with. Hey, now we're sending locations.
Live
location, because anything is possible, because our men have started to become an issue. They've started to become a weapon against us, you know. And the sad thing is, these are people that are meant to love us. These are people that are meant to hold us and make us feel safe. But right now, they are scaring us. They are beating us. They are raping us. They are killing us. And then they turn around and they say, but I love you, baby. So for me, it's almost like a cry and a plea to men to say, hey, what have we done to you? What have we done to you? And you need to stop. You know, I think we're way past the stage of asking nicely, of having conversations. Conversations don't do anything anymore. You know, we need to almost start taking action. The same action that the women of 1956 took, we need to take that very same action, because we've spoken. We've spoken, we've had conventions, we've had marches, we've had, you know, maybe men need to tell us what we need to do so that they stop their behavior, you know, and just men need to be men again, because I feel like right now we're dealing with boys, and boys need to grow up to be men again. So yeah, that's just my take on that.
Phew. It's disgusting. It's the most disgusting thing on the planet. It's even hard to talk about it. I think a lot of women I know have been through it. I've been through it, and I think if it was possible to fight back or hit back, we probably would do it. But obviously we know we can't do the same thing we're fighting against. So we choose to talk and have marches and seminars and round tables and say, oh, don't stop it, it's so bad, don't do it. The reality is that's where we are. That's the kind of society we're living in. And I was watching the news the other day, and there's a new law, if I'm not mistaken, that says if a woman opens a case against a person for gender-based violence, they can't go tomorrow and say, no, we're fine. No. The show must go
Go
on.
on.
The person who is the perpetrator must still be charged, because if you don't stop it at that person, it's going to continue. That boyfriend of yours who hit you is going to hit his girlfriend, the other girlfriend, and it's not going to stop. He'll end up killing somebody. And the only way that it's going to stop is if women just stop dropping the charges. The father of your baby must go to prison. The child must know the kind of person that they're dealing with. Let him go to prison. Let him go rot in jail. And hopefully he'll come back a changed person, because I mean, this is the reality of life. Things need to change, and if we don't take it upon ourselves as women to change things or to even fight. I mean, a lot of the times we see women in the streets, baba shy, or treating them ill, and we're just like,
That's not my situation.
My business.
I'm taking it upon myself to say it's my problem. It's my situation. Guys, let's all fight, you know? If somebody's going to be beaten, beat us all. I need to know who is scorer, you're strong. And I think we just need to get out of the habit of just, you know, taking a video and then posting it and saying, help me find this guy. Do something about it right there and then. Yeah.
I was gonna absolutely agree with what you were saying, and I'm so for that law. And I think for me, you know, just being inspired by the women that took action back, you know, in those years, I think we need to have harsher laws against, you know, violence like that. Even, you know, from police stationing, you know, we need to have, you know, we need to consider stuff like, I'm sorry, I could report a case like that. A female officer that you might feel more comfortable with.
Yeah.
I mean, just the process.
Spaces, yeah.
A female officer that you can speak to, and also not just waiting for her to come back again. Right that moment, people need to go and figure out because that's how it starts. These things don't on the spot. There is a pattern, and
build up.
there's things that happen before it gets to that point. So I think we need to change, you know, laws in that, like, it needs to be, we need to stop like hashtag anyway or another march, whatever.
Yeah.
We need to change the law. Things in the constitution need to change. Things in the policing departments need to change in writing. You know, even, you know, have special units trained to deal with this kind of violence and this kind of, you know, problem. You know, so that it's not just put at the back of, you know, the shelf and kind of going, you know, and also Rona, as a society, we need to intervene more. You know, I don't necessarily have to go but call the cops. Get someone else, you know, ready people up. Get people to know because there's one thing about abusers, not the way I see it. They're very weak people. They don't want that attention. But I that attention but put a spotlight on him and see what happens. They always have their heads down. All the time. So if we shine a light on those people and we expose them, follow that process and ensure that they stay where they belong, then I think that we'd have a better case. But we can't just be talking. Like, this needs to be from, you know, the people that are running our country need to make it a standard thing in our laws. Because we're in circles and nothing really happens. We need a special task unit that are just going to be dealing with gender-based violence.
I agree.
The police station that are basically just there for that type of violence, because it happens everywhere, where they're just dealing with that type of violence. Because I think the more people see that they can't get away with it anymore, then I think that we can stop, you know, the cycles.
And a culture of support. I think what a lot of women are missing right now is you know, that unit of support, because Okagiso lives it, but she lives it in silence because she doesn't think anyone will believe her or anyone will support her. I think, you know, we're not going to wait for men to support us. I think as sisters, I should be able to, you know, to knock on your door more and say, get better. It's not
And
good.
not feel shame.
And not feel shame, you know, because the more we're able to shine the spotlight on it, the more we're able to, you know, single out the abusers and the perpetrators, it becomes easier to deal with the problem, you know, because a lot of women right now are kind of living in fear, not only of what is he going to do next, but because you can't even speak to anyone about it, you know. And I find that when you speak, you almost bring you open up opportunities for people to help.
Yeah.
You know, but if you don't say anything and you think you're going to be ostracized, or you know, then you almost die on the inside. And that is why certain women just, you know, they choose to just keep quiet, and the next thing you know, ushule, and then we're having to deal with another situation. So I think maybe as sisters, let's be okay with saying, I need help. I need help, and I'm ready to walk away. You know, and we should also just, you know, get rid of this judgment that we have, you know, with each other as women, to say, but no more. No more. You saw him from the get-go. You know, if I come to you and I say, you know, I'm being abused, I don't need you to tell me, but friend, you should have seen the signs, you know. So I think support and also, you know, just non-judgment. That's all we need.
And you know what, Mo, like for me, and maybe it's also just rattling things as I do, but like it almost feels like you need almost like a next of kin slant to it as well. Just like when somebody's out to sign a contract, you know, they ask you who's your next of kin. Sometimes a person can't stand up for themselves. You know, maybe we need, you know, a rule that goes, na as ngwana bo zanele, as antu zanele, as no zanele, ke mona wa shapiwa, wa busy, wa so scared ngwana ka tlo bolawa. You should have the right to bula a case for
I agree, absolutely. I agree with you.
In a case zanele has to drop the charges, which are they gone. Na as someone outside environment zanele phelang ka yona, who wants her well-being to be saved. I should be able to report that case on her behalf, because her well-being and her life is in danger. Because so often abusers don't, you know, have that strength, or they drop the case along the way. But if we have a next of kin law that actually has it in writing,
I think that's a great idea.
Down to say, if I'm worried about livelihood every day, I can go open a case for her, run that case for her, and put her man in jail, because that's where he belongs.
Absolutely.
Looking at solutions like that.
I absolutely agree. Yo, guys,
Just to carry on.
No, I think it's quite apparent that the law needs to change. Absolutely. The law needs to absolutely change. I think we could talk the whole night about our own experiences, you know, what we've gone through and what we still go through, because sometimes it's not like, there's different levels of this GBV, right? It's not just, you know, being hit around or killed or whatever. We all experience it in our own right, you know?
Yeah, there's a lot of things that need to change, but it also needs to start from within our families as well. You know, if you've got a son, if you've got, you know, nephews, you need to teach them how to you know, almost address a woman, how to behave around a woman. You know, you don't call your sister that, you don't touch your sister there, because then they grow up remembering and knowing that I shouldn't be doing that, because, you know, they start off young. The next thing, that's someone's husband, that's someone's boyfriend. So I think it needs to start from young age. Yeah,
it's true. Talking about young age, now coming to the closing of our discussion, ladies.
Don't ask our ages.
No. I'll never do such a thing. But there is power in being a certain age. There is a coming of your, you know, into your own that comes with age, which is fantastic. So, you know, what advice would you ladies give young ladies that are you know, starting off their careers? They just started, you know, started the rat race. They're starting their careers. What advice would you give those young women?
I think for me is open those ears, open the eyes, listen. Just listen. You know, drop the attitude, drop the I went to vets, I went to UJ, I know my, drop it. You're coming into a completely different environment. What you learn in varsity, the theory that you learn, and what happens in reality are two totally different things. So calm down, take a breath, and learn from Mo. Mo has been here, she's been doing this. Learn. Just give yourself time and learn and ask questions before it's too late. You know, don't wait until the last moment. Just say, I don't know. It's okay to say, you know, you gave me this thing yesterday and I don't know how to do it, you know? Just get into the habit of listening and wanting to crave the learning. Crave to know your craft and be good at it, and immerse yourself. Immerse yourself in it. Wow.
Inside joke.
Yeah, and just immerse yourself in it, and just also take the time to take time for yourself, and just reflect, and find what it is in life that you want to do, and don't rush, but try to do it very quickly. Find what it is that you want out of life, and put those steps together on how you're going to achieve that.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say it the way I'm thinking it. I think you need to close your legs and open your mind.
Okay.
And by that I mean, don't think being a woman and being beautiful and dressing a certain way and looking a certain way is going to take you places. Because when work speaks for itself, no one looks at it and goes, oh, this was a skinny, attractive, clothes, whatever type of person that won this Grammy or this DNAD craft pen for being the best writer.
Girl.
Open your mind, open your mind. There's so much more to who you are than your gender. There's so much more to who you are than what people see. If you look into the mirror and you see exactly who you are inside, it's impossible for people to see, to not see that. So live your truth, believe in yourself, and believe that you can do anything. Anything you want to do, you can do. Don't let people tell you you can't do. Just believe in yourself, open your mind, and learn as much as you can. Like Zah said, listen. You don't always have to say, be the first one who be the first one who has an answer. Sometimes listening and just thinking about things a bit longer, makes such a difference. And listening also, maybe you get your answer by listening, because the person that's talking that you wanted to interrupt might actually tell you exactly what you want to know. And just love yourself. Love yourself. There's a power in being a woman. Just love yourself.
Gosh, you're a lot. For me, it's actually two things. One is run your own race, and never be afraid to fail. Never be afraid to start over. And I think the second thing is surround yourself with equally powerful women. We take it for granted, that support structure of females that can guide you in the right direction. So, once you know who you are and where you're going, you always need, that tribe behind you. That's really going to rally behind you. But more than anything, just do it your own way. Don't ever let someone tell you how you need to navigate your own career. Because the worst thing that could ever happen is years down the line, someone says, but I made you. So you better make yourself, girl. Make yourself and do it your own way. And have that tribe behind you that's got your back, and you're going to go far.
Guys, thank you so much. Ladies, thank you so much. I mean, the discussion was quite insightful. I think... maybe let's slow clap.
I wanted to
But thank you so much. I wish we had more time, but I think it was a great discussion. I think I would love to have this again and talk more.
In order.
Yeah, I know.